I live in downtown Seattle, and my view is of the waterfront, and this is the last cargo ship coming in for a long, long, long time. Ugh.
Shortages of items are coming fast for the United States of America. This is a serious issue, and I don't think a lot of people in America know the gravity of what is to come. I know recently that a lot of us have seen the effects of the tariff and the trade war on the market. We are going to be seeing the effects of the tariff and the trade war in real time on grocery prices, empty shelves in our stores. Basically, what we are saying is the tariff and the trade war will significantly affect the economy of the United States of America as a result of empty ports in America.
A 90% chance of a recession. That is the prediction tonight from a top economist, Torsten Slok, painting a dire picture of Trump's trade war and the implications, saying it's pushing the U.S. economy to the brink of full-blown crisis. He writes that in just weeks, quote, the consequence will be empty shelves in U.S. stores in a few weeks and COVID-like shortages for consumers and for firms using Chinese products as intermediate goods. And the administration tonight not giving much of a reassurance when pressed on this prediction.
Are you worried about empty shelves?
Not at present. We have some great retailers. I assume they pre-ordered.
Those great retailers were all just at the White House, some of the biggest ones. CEOs of Walmart, Target, and Home Depot, they warned Trump in that meeting that his tariffs could lead to product shortages and more. Barclays tonight is echoing the warnings in a memo to investors, writing, we expect a sharp slowdown and a likely U.S. recession in the coming quarters. All of it comes as tonight we're learning Jamie Dimon, the CEO of J.P. Morgan Chase, reportedly told investors just days ago, according to the Wall Street Journal, that a best-case scenario is a mild recession. It's a daily drumbeat of warnings now coming from people who know a lot about the economy, and it has Americans worried. Our latest poll out this afternoon finding a majority of Americans, 59%, say Trump's policies have made economic conditions in the U.S. worse, which could explain why the administration is tonight doing all it can to not talk about the economy.
I need you guys to understand that even if this guy does his deal-making thing, the disruptions are already locked in. This is the trucking volume coming out of Los Angeles. Here's the annual graph, and this is this year so far. Notice how right now the volume is about similar to Thanksgiving and Christmas. You know, when most truckers aren't even driving. That's colossal. That is a 2020-style supply chain disruption. It does not matter if the tariffs stop tomorrow. The goods are already on their way. It takes 5 to 7 weeks for stuff to start showing up here and properly be tariffed, and then the price increases come shortly after. Those things are already locked in. You're going to see companies revising their earnings forecasts down. PepsiCo is one of the largest drink and food conglomerates in the U.S. They control basically half the snack foods you can think about right now, and they are revising their forecasts down due to tariffs. If Americans aren't buying sody pop, shit is going down, my guy. And this is completely ignoring the supply chain disruptions to the auto industry or the tech industry. These things are such complex products that require so many parts from different parts of the world. The disruption is locked in, and the price increases are going to be things we haven't seen in a very long time. Now, for yours truly's take, I am not an expert, but the overwhelming majority of tariffed goods will be here within 4 weeks. The prices of a lot of goods will start ticking up a little bit. By the end of this quarter, you will start to see company after company revising their earnings forecasts down, citing the exact same things as other mega corporations like Pepsi. I think once Q3 rolls around, your average person is really going to understand the disruption part. It's going to feel like 2020 again. And I think at that back to school season is where I'm thinking most people will go, oh shit, it really is that bad. And at that point, most people will actually admit we're in a recession, whereas right now, it's kind of only showing up in the stock market. When the stock market declines in the way it has, it's down 15-20% from all-time highs right now. You start to have people asking if this is going to cascade into other parts of the economy. And with something as self-defeating as tariffs, it's like a self-destruct button. It is very clear that this is going to cascade into other things. The price increases are going to hurt every last person, who isn't sitting on a treasure trove of $50 million, which is 99% of people. And yet there's a solid 10 to 15% of the population that is actively cheering for their own self-destruction. And that is just mental to me. I don't know how else to describe it. We're getting up to 2.5 minutes here, but my point is that this disruption is coming for you and you need to be ready for it now. Especially if you need complex things like tech, like cars. Those purchases should be out the door and you shouldn't be thinking about them. Because again, to wrap up, even if the tariffs are completely lifted tomorrow, all the trade deals are done, everything goes back to zero, everything goes back to pre-Donald Trump part 2, the tariffed goods are still going to be here in a couple of weeks.
With everything that Trump is doing and everything that's going on with this trade war, we're all about to be in a Noby year. Look at what's going on with the ports. All major ports in the US completely empty. My Noby year is about to go from a Noby year to a can't buy year. I'm not trying to drum up fear or panic here, but let's just say I've been stockpiling toilet paper like it's 2020 again. And these tariffs have completely altered my shopping habits in general. I used to be the Essence girly. I stayed making Essence purchases. I had an Essence purchase come in every single week. But with those tariffs, no, I'm done. If I'm gonna shop, it's gonna be secondhand. I'm a real girly through and through. Because if there's one thing I hate, it's forking my money over to this administration. But even Amazon, who is completely on board with Trump, Jeff Bezos was at his inauguration, is now going to start displaying the actual tariff price that you'll be paying on Amazon.com. And the Trump administration is pissed. 100 days in office, he has already gotten us into a trade war, and our ports are completely empty, which means that stores will be too soon enough. Maybe stock up on those basic household essentials that are manufactured in China right now. Don't go crazy, just be realistic, but enough to weather the next 4 to 6 weeks. Maybe longer, who knows, but let's just say the next few months are going to be very interesting. He definitely fixed grocery prices because there won't be any groceries to buy. Honestly, I really hope this forces all of us to evaluate our consumption habits because our shopping habits are now going from pleasure to survival. Consumption is the American pastime and that's going to change because there won't be anything to consume. Secondhand is always an option, but I think personally we should all scale the back right now.
Could American store shelves be empty in the next 2 weeks because of Trump's tariffs? That's the warning Trump got this week from the CEOs of Walmart, Target, and Home Depot, 3 of America's largest box stores, telling him that prices have not gone up yet because of his tariffs, but they would soon, and that within a period of only 2 weeks, we could start to see empty shelves in stores because of the disruptions caused by Trump's tariffs. That warning and the fact that the stock market again collapsed on Monday this week, at the same time the bond market collapsed and the dollar collapsed, finally convinced Trump that maybe destroying the U.S. economy wasn't the best way to save the U.S. economy. That's why he caved on tariffs to China this week. Now, he's caved halfway. Trump has suggested that maybe he'll eliminate half the tariffs on China, which would still leave 70% tariffs, which is an insane quantity that shuts down all trade. But he sort of threw that out there because he's freaking out, and he thinks he may have caused too much pain to the American consumers. In the end, Trump's tariffs are increasing inflation. They're increasing unemployment. They're starting to slow economic growth, which is risking a recession. None of this is what people voted for. We voted for him to get inflation down, not to make everything in the economy worse.
So the shelves at supermarkets are going to be bare within the next 3 to 4 weeks. That's what economists are saying, and that's what the CEOs of Target and Walmart and other supermarkets and retail suppliers are saying. So 3 to 4 weeks. And this is due to the Trump tariffs. There is a photo going around about the Seattle port where a lot of our ships dock to bring in imports and to collect exports and all that fun things. It's basically empty. So this is something that has been essentially coming from the next couple, from the last couple of weeks. So in the future, there's going to be some shelves that are pretty bare. There's going to be some things that you're not going to be able to get. And we're not going to panic, right? We're going to be calm, cool, collected. Make a list of things that you use, kind of like on an everyday basis, and also the foods that you eat pretty consistently. And just make sure you have 3 to 4 weeks worth of those foods. So 3 to 4 weeks worth of toilet paper and paper towels, but also 3 to 4 weeks worth of, canned vegetables because they'll last longer than fresh. Canned, beans and frozen fruits would be really great in this scenario as well. But also just make sure that if you have someone in your family who has food aversions or only eats particular types of foods, like make sure that you pick up those foods because they might not be on the shelves for the next however long. So it's going to be rough, to say the least, and it's not something that we would have had we elected, Kamala Harris to the presidency. Who would have thought? But this is where we are. So don't panic, but be prepared.
Hi folks, so shortages are coming for the United States of America. This is serious now. For the most part, so far we've seen the effect of tariffs on the markets. But we're going to start seeing things in real terms. We're going to start seeing empty shelves in the markets, in the stores in the United States. So according to the CEO of Flexport, container bookings are down nearly 60%. If the tariffs are not lifted soon, there's going to be a $2 trillion hit on the U.S. economy. The failure of possibly tens of thousands of U.S. businesses, and literally hundreds, if not millions, of job losses. This is where things start to get real for the United States of America. The Port of LA, is now seeing a 10% less ships than this time last year. And that's a big deal, 10%. Of the week of May the 4th, in regards to ships that are coming into the port, they are currently seeing a 35% less ships coming into the port. Trucking out of the Port of LA, trucking so far out of the Port of Los Angeles is down 23% compared to this time last year. And some analysts believe that if it continues the way things are going at the moment, it could be as much as 50% by May. This is crazy. If nothing changes, ports are going to get very quiet. And this is what's going to happen. You're going to see empty shelves in every store in the United States. You're not going to be able to get stuff. Okay? This is serious, folks. It really is. Folks, the source for this is Axios and also the Port of Los Angeles. My name is Nick. I'd love you guys to give me a follow. Let me know what you think in the comments. I promise you this is not scaremongering. This is statistical evidence from the Port of Los Angeles.
I have some of the worst news that you're going to hear today. And that is that our ports are empty. And we are only expecting 2 container ships to be delivered in the next 2 weeks. That means there's nothing coming into this country because China said, hold my beer, after Trump said, we're going to tariff you into oblivion. And if any of you have been around since the 80s, like myself, actually the 70s, but in the 80s, that's when we pushed away factory jobs from America. And we sent them overseas because Americans wanted too much money to work. They wanted, fair labor standards and practices and safe workplace. And the Republicans were like, oh, no, you know what? We can exploit workers in China. So they sent everything to China, and China built this amazing industry. And they started taking care of their country and their people and their water and everything. And they embraced science and technology and let us just do our thing. You have to remember, China's been here for 5,000 years. Are they worried about a country that hasn't made it to its 250th birthday? This is as bad as, this is worse. Like tomorrow is 100 days. This is 100 days of destroying our democracy, our country, our civil rights, everything.
Final thoughts. If you don't have a supply of items that you use on a regular, you might want to go get them today. And I mean right now, not tomorrow, today. If you have a moment today to go do some shopping, please do go get those items immediately. Please note that I am not trying to be fear-mongering. I'm just trying to keep you all informed about what is going to happen as a result of empty ports in America, which could lead to empty shelves of groceries and other essential items in our stores. I'm talking about U.S. economy grinding to an absolute halt, like it's not been seen in at least 2 centuries by 4th of July. All I'm trying to do now is to encourage you all to do what you can. Protect yourself and your family the best way you can.